community.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So you have written a number of books. Of the books you've written so far, which one has been your favorite?
My very favorite is the one that sold the least, and that's because I didn't really know. Yeah, it's the one that's sitting on the shelf that never sold but 10 copies. But no, yeah. It actually was, it's called Message of Hope, and it was written after a very dear friend of mine passed away at the age of 36 from a heart attack. And I was devastated. And so I just started writing down my thoughts. And initially I was just journaling, and that's all I thought it would be. It turned into a booklet, that turned into a book, and that book was given as a gift to all his family members. Mm-hmm. And I've sold a few copies, but it really wasn't, it wasn't my signature book, if you will. My signature book was Power Up for Profits, The Smart Woman's Guide to Online Marketing. Mm-hmm. But between all the books I've written, that one had more of my heart in it than anything. And yet everything I do nowadays has my heart in it.
That's good. So you have a new book that's coming out this summer called Discover the Real Fountain of Youth, Plant-Based Eating for Health.
Yes.
What made you want to then release a plant-based book this summer?
Well, really what drives me on that is I'm shocked at how unhealthy our culture has gotten. And a lot of people my age, they have resigned themselves to the fact that that life is over, you can't start anything new, you don't have energy. Pretty much life sucks. You know, a lot of people my age kind of feel that way. And recently I actually qualified for Medicare. So I'm on the phone with Social Security and doing the whole process. And my goal with each call that I did with these people was to really break down the stereotype. And I had these government workers laughing, and I was telling jokes about being old and being a runner and on and on. And then at the end of the call, I'd say, bet this has been the liveliest senior citizen call you've ever had, and it just made their day. So for me, it was why I want to write the book is I want to show people through example that your life is really what you make it, and that we do have a lot more choice than we give ourselves credit for. And if you surround yourself with people who have limiting beliefs, you become a limiting belief kind of person. If you surround yourself with people who are possibility thinkers and who raise each other up and really push and inspire you to be more than you thought you could be, then you probably will be more than you thought you could be. So my reason and my motivator for writing the book is to show people that life gets better as we age if we take care of ourselves. See, that's the big thing. It's not just about, it's going to get better and you just think your way into better health and all that. You have to take a lot of action. Like this morning, I was out doing a 4-mile run, and that's just like what I do. I go to the gym, I eat healthy, I run, and I can't see that I would give that up because I have so much, and just life is so good by the way that I've been taking care of myself.
Yeah. So let's say someone listening to this wanted to shift and start on a plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. What are some baby step ways to do that?
One is really look at the reason why you want to do it. If you're doing it to lose weight, you're probably doing it for the wrong reason. If you're doing it because you really want to have better health, like myself, I'm at risk for heart disease. I'm at risk for breast cancer, colon cancer. I mean, these are very real risks for me. Yeah. So for me, it's like minimizing that risk so that I don't have to die a terrible death like I've seen people die. Mm-hmm. My own mother had just a horrendous death, and it took her a long time to die. And I thought, I don't want to live like that. So I would say start with your big why of why is this so important to you? And also think of the people that you love, and wouldn't it be more loving to treat yourself as good as you can and eat as healthy as possible to have a better quality of life for them, especially whether it's your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids. And so that would be the starting place. Then start going through the foods that you have in your house, and if you're so inclined, a lot of people, they say, well, I'll eat it and then I'll start on Monday. If you start on Monday, you'll never start. That's the bottom line. You just got to make the commitment. You got to start right where you're at. And so go through your cabinets and get rid of the foods that are going to be temptation foods. Like myself, in that I've been sober for 35 years. I don't have alcohol in my house, not because I couldn't, but why put that temptation in front of me? I mean, I can go to social gatherings. I go to conferences all the time. I keynote at conferences and, I'm always being offered alcohol and it's just like, no. And my meeting planners know that I never have alcohol in my room. I ask them if there's a bar in my room, please have them take it out. I have certain criteria. So I set myself up for success. And that's what I encourage people to do is set yourself up for success. If you're going to start working out, start with something that's manageable and doable rather than going from never walking, a mile, saying, okay, I'm going to walk 10 miles and I'll just catch up to everything. No. Do a block. And then the next day do 2 blocks. So, I don't always do this, which is ease into things. I tend to be, like I said, I have such an addictive personality. I go for the gusto, but I know that if people set themselves up for success, they have a greater chance of having success. I also encourage people to get the book Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. It's a phenomenal resource to really show what animal-based products and dairy products can do to your health. I mean, because if you look at it, why is it that we have such a high rate of diabetes, heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure, more than we ever have in the past? And it's the amount of animal products that we eat. And there's scientific research behind all that.
Mm-hmm. At times in your career when you've hit apprehension and fear, how have you pushed past those?
Oh, wow, that is a good question because, it's happened more than once. And I used to try to just muscle my way through and figure it out on my own. And I think for me, what I've learned is that having a support system in place, whether it be a good coach, a mastermind group, colleagues that are trusted colleagues, and they're also friends, where when you're going through a really rough time, that's not the time to necessarily post things on Facebook and say, oh, my business is falling apart. What am I going to do? I've seen people do that. And it's like, no. That's where you get a coach. You go to your coach and you talk to them about what's going on so they can help you put strategies in place. But bottom line that helps me get through everything in life that can bring fear up is I have a very strong connection with a higher power. I believe that prayer and meditation is my saving grace. I start my day with prayer and meditation. I do a lot of journaling. I read a lot of things that help me to understand that left to my own devices, I will mess up my life. And I think that's true of human nature. And so making sure that I'm consuming information that is going to get my head on straight, because it's real easy in today's world if we start, all we're doing is reading what's on social media. We'll compare ourselves to other people and say, well, how come I'm not like that person who's making $10 million in their business? What's wrong with me? I only made $1 million or something like that. Or what's wrong with me? I can't run a 4-minute mile. I can only run a 11.5-minute mile. I must be such a failure. So we start believing these stories. So we have to look at the stories we tell ourselves. And so for me, what I do is I have a group of very, very dear friends and colleagues that I can reach out to and say, I've got this thing going on. Let's talk about it for one. Mm-hmm. And not believing my own press, because in certain circles, I do have a following. And if you start believing your own press around that and you think you're all that, life has a way of knocking you on your rear end. So, at least that's been my experience. Yeah. It's like, oh, your ego's getting a little out of control. Let's fix that. But quite seriously, I know that having people that I can turn to and realizing that this is a part of being human, this is a part of running a business, that it's not going to always be on an upward trajectory, that sometimes we do hit those contraction points. And sometimes the contraction is exactly what we need in order to dig deep and get a new new idea. I know that when I was taking care of my mom, I was lost. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be available like I had been. And it forced me to dig deep and figure it out by my mom's bedside in the hospital.
That's good to know. So with everything you've done and experienced, what would you say has been the best advice that you have ever received?
Wow. I would say there's a couple of things. One is always be as truthful as possible so you don't have to remember what you said. That's one, and my mother gave me that. And the other one is what you do in private, you will be rewarded for in public.
That's great. Awesome. Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen. This has been an absolute pleasure to chat with you this evening.
It's been delightful.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. If the listeners would like to read your books or read your writing or see more of what you're working on, where is the best places they can go to do that?
Google. But outside of Google and just Googling my name, I would say actually go to powerupforprofits.com, powerupforprofits.com.
Okay, perfect. And I will make sure I put that in the show notes so they can just click right through.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much. This was absolutely delightful.
I had a blast. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.